terminology, history, and present political realities. Just as most Christians are misinformed about the teachings of Jesus and the history of their own church, many Jewish Americans also have much to learn about their history, culture, and Israel.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Hosea 4:6. George Washington, in his farewell address, warned,
History and experience prove that foreign influence is one of the most baneful foes of Republican government.
Most citizens would agree that this was wise advice. However, in studying establishment newspapers over the last 40 years, one sees that American foreign policy has been unbelievably focused and driven by Middle East policy, and more specifically, Israel's relationship with her Arab neighbors. Because these issues are emotional to many people, it is important to listen to both sides of the story and then step back and take an unbiased look at the bigger perspective. The Israelis' point of view is that Jews from around the world have been oppressed for centuries. They can point to the pogroms that have occurred in Russia and Eastern Europe, and of course the horrible persecution that occurred in Germany during the Second World War. So when you look at the geography of Israel and see that it is surrounded by Arab nations that are presently hostile, it makes for a very tense situation. Thus, many Jewish people are understandably defensive and ready to fight to protect their culture. The Arab point of view is that their families have lived in Palestine continuously for more than 1,000 years, and it was initially their homes, businesses, and farms that were aggressively stolen by the Israelis. As of today, close to 1 million Palestinians have been made homeless and destitute, and have been forced to live in refugee camps in Jordan and Syria. The Arabs who still are living in Israel also point to the fact that they have been treated with contempt and malice for the last 50 years, and that the only way Israel can get away with such bigotry and viciousness is because of the Zionist control of America, which blindly backs Israel. The sad thing is, both points of view are correct. From an American perspective, these factual details are important to consider. 1. Israel is a very small country, approximately the size of a couple of Texas counties, and there are less than 8 million residents with very little in the way of commercial industry or natural resources of its own. Strategically and economically, Israel has very little to offer our nation. 2. Though Americans say they believe in the ideal of freedom of religion, few are aware that Christians are not allowed to own property in many areas of Israel and are prohibited from preaching their religious beliefs. 3. America's blind support of Israel has alienated and strained our relations with the majority of the Islamic world. 4. The Mossad, which is a covert Israeli intelligence agency, seems to work with immunity in our nation. And 5, Israel is the recipient of over $6 billion per year in direct foreign aid and another $4 billion per year in indirect loans and military transfers. This is a huge amount of American taxpayer money going halfway around the world. It is also substantially more support than we give to any other nation on earth. And if you break it down per capita, it is much more than we give to our own citizens who are in need. If you want to know how this has been allowed to happen, follow the money. Though Jewish Americans account for less than 4% of the population, their economic and political influence is overwhelming. American Jewish political organizations are by far and away the best organized and funded of any of the political action committees, PACs or PACs. It has gotten to the point where in many congressional districts a candidate cannot consider winning without the support of these PACs, whose primary concern is not about America, but continued and increased financial and military aid to Israel. Behind these PACs is the philosophy of materialistic Zionism. Spiritual Zionism, as expressed in the Bible, is a wonderful metamorphosis of awakening consciousness in which all human beings will recognize and respect the divinity of their fellow humans. Modern Zionism was founded by Theodor Herzl of Vienna in 1897 and introduced at an international Jewish conference in Basel, Switzerland. As originally expressed, modern Zionism was the ideal for protecting their faith and creating a Jewish homeland. The word Zion comes from the name of a hill in Jerusalem where King David stood and where later Solomon built the temple. Most sensible humans are going to understand that the ideal of creating a Jewish homeland is just and fair. Further, almost all reasonable humans, including most educated members of the Islamic religion, could understand the reasons to support an independent Jewish state, provided that Israel would respect the rights of its neighbors and of the Palestinians. The problem is that the philosophy of modern Zionism has been co-opted by the Illuminati into materialistic Zionism. Materialistic Zionism has become more than the creation of a safe and secure homeland for people of the Jewish faith. It has become part of a plan to create a one-world order with the Illuminati's enlightened leaders running the show. Here is where the discussion can get emotionally supercharged. So remember to take a deep breath and use discernment when speaking or reading about this topic. Ask yourself this question. If Japanese, Black, Eskimo, Italian, or Arab American citizens controlled the major television networks, the major movie studios, made many of our national banking decisions, and were politically in positions of highest power throughout the government in numbers far in excess of their proportionate population, would there not be concern and discussion? Of course there would be. Would this concern and discussion not turn into debate if it appeared that this group's work and focus were not supportive of the ideals of our Constitution? Of course. Well, my friends, this is the situation in America. Is there a Jewish conspiracy? No, not in the classic sense, as I believe most Jewish Americans are not fully aware of what's going on. There is, however, a high percentage of Jewish Americans in positions of power who are carrying out the materialistic Zionist agenda, many unknowingly. Now, here is where it is important to again step back and look at the big picture. 1. A vast percentage of all Americans are ignorant about the Illuminati and materialistic Zionism. 2. A high percentage of Jewish Americans are ignorant about the Illuminati and materialistic Zionism. 3. A majority of the people who are working for and carrying out the work of the elite, Jewish, Christian, and other, are ignorant of the big picture. And 4, only at the very highest levels are the leaders apprised of the long-term plans to create a one-world government. The leaders at this level come from diverse racial, religious, and cultural backgrounds. Just because Bill Clinton on occasion carries a Bible conspicuously for the cameras to see does not mean that he is a Christian. The same concept applies to those who are working for and orchestrating the materialistic New World Order movement. Just because someone has a Jewish name does not mean that they understand the tenets of their religion or the present political manipulations. It is so important that we do not scapegoat any one group or religion, as many people in the past have done. All the religions at their core are focused on the love of God. At the same time, it is imperative for us to wake up, smell the coffee, and expose all of these imperial lackeys. To be successful, all of us, including Jewish Americans, are going to have to clean our own houses, make some tough decisions, and say no to the New World Order. Chapter 6. The Cancer in Our